Hey everyone, Sean here, and today in this video I wanted to take this chance to finally talk about the action-adventure horror-themed video game Ghostwire Tokyo. Now, I wanted to clarify that I played this on the PlayStation 5. But of course, before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like these. Really appreciate it, guys. Ghostwire Tokyo is a game where you basically go around in a dark, dank rendition of Japan's capital city, Tokyo. While doing so, you encounter ghosts and ghouls, or visitors as they're called here, after invading the city, and its people have all vanished during a mysterious event called the Vanishing. Beforehand, your main protagonist, Akito, was caught in a near-fatal accident. However, during the event, a ghostly detective named KK takes control of your body. In that process, you gain ethereal waving powers to combat the visitors in a first-person view and rescue your sister kidnapped by an enigmatic Hanya masked bad guy. Ghostwire as a whole is a pretty basic video game, but with a gift wrapping of Japanese folklore around it, which is the definite highlight. It's basic in the sense that the main story is very straightforward and shallow for the most part. I mean, it really has a basic plot for today's standards. A lot of the stories I've come across in video games nowadays have been quite dramatic, cinematic, mind-blowing, and there is a lot to take in. So it really makes Ghostwire feel mundane in terms of main storytelling. However, there are plenty of other things that carried me throughout my playthrough. First off, the graphics in this is an interesting case. While they aren't the most mind-blowing of graphical prowess, its visual direction was really neat. During my experience, there were set pieces that always were gray line between horror, thriller, and some action, which I personally liked. Not only you get to see this in the main story, but in a number of its side quests do contain these set pieces, which is actually pretty nice. As a game strongly themed around ghosts and spirits, no, it is not scary. As a gamer who typically does not dive into horror games or the horror genre in general, even I did wish for at least more spoonfuls of creepy and spooky things. But I do understand that it's more centered around the action aspect of things. As mentioned, the environment is mostly dark and dank, meaning that it is either always nighttime or raining or just wet in general. The rain itself is a neat rendition in this world while not destroying the frame rate for the most part. Even the vibration on your PlayStation 5 controller does somewhat simulate a feel of raindrops falling on your hand. Speaking of performance, the PlayStation 5 version does come with a number of performance modes to your liking, similar to that of PC games. If you're playing on your PlayStation 5, might I recommend you playing on the HFR quality mode or high frame rate quality mode. It retains the sharpness and quality while gaining the smooth frame rate. There are going to be frame drops even in the regular performance mode during the heat of the action, so might as well go with the former to get the best out of your console. It also comes with VSync in case you need it. In the graphics department overall, in my humble opinion, it is more than decent. However, the enemy designs are a bit lackluster, which is disappointing. You're mostly facing human-shaped ghosts that resemble Slenderman, along with headless school kids, and so on. There are a few I do like, but nonetheless I was hoping to see the evil yokai to be featured as enemies you can fight. Most of these yokai are featured in the side quests of things. It is understandable that not all yokai are evil, so instead, having enemy designs inspired from yokai would have helped with the enemy variety. Not only it would help from the gameplay perspective of things, it would inspire interesting lore that these evil ghosts would make the yokai look bad and misunderstood by the people in this world. This could have been very supplemental to the game's rather basic overall story package, especially the main story. In fact, it seems like to be a case where you'll get much of the lore out of the side quests than you would with the main story. These side quests are where you get to encounter famous or rather infamous yokai of Japanese mythos. Yokai are Japanese spirits and entities that come from strange origins found in real Japanese folklore, dating from even before the Heian period, which was from the year 794. Like Greek mythology, there's always some sort of message or lesson of sorts tied behind these myths. It is nice to see these yokai whenever you do these side quests. There are other side quests where it features unresting spirits who have interesting backstories, ranging from rather heartwarming to rather dark. again adding to the case where the side quests are seemingly the forefront rather than the main story. May I mention that a few of these side quests even offer level designs that contrast from the dark and dank Tokyo that you see so much in your playthrough. Basically, if you want to get your money's worth and have the time in your willful spare, then you should go do all the side quests. More on the main story, the characters here were okay at best. I mean, I did like Akito and the ghostly detective KK and their time together. Though I wish for more character driven stuff, as again, story elements felt very basic here. I wish to care for these characters more, including the villains. Now let me talk about the gameplay for Ghostwire. Now this is definitely the benefactor of this game importantly. It is fun and satisfying to beat the visitors as many people have seen in the trailers. You can indeed throw spirit energy blasts while it's resembling Doctor Strange. These hand signs are actually inspired from real hand signs seen in Kujikiri, which has strong ties from Japanese religion, adding more of that Japanese mythos in this game. It's just fun to not only feel like Japanese Doctor Strange, but you can also pull cores out of your enemies to help amplify the rewards, including experience, health, and meter for your big ability later on. The difficulty felt fair even in normal mode to some extent, although I felt at times that mobs of enemies were more difficult to deal with than the bosses themselves, since you have more to worry about in mobs, especially if you want to get a multi-core pulling combo. Let me also mention that there is stealth involved where you can insta-kill enemies with a back attack. You also have bows and arrows to snipe enemies with, but I never had profound use of it other than here and there. The skill tree offered here is rather, dare I say again, basic. You level up, upgrade with skill points, rinse and repeat. It does offer some fun upgrades, however it doesn't offer a whole lot for your combat abilities to continue to wow players in the later part of the game. It is rather desolate of more super flashy moves that one would hope for a game that makes you feel like you're Japanese Doctor Strange. Otherwise, you're either shooting small or big blasts with various ranges. That's pretty much it. Fire, water, and wind are present as your main arsenal, but perhaps adding elements such as lightning and earth would have helped spice up your combat experience. I also wish to be more rewarded with experience during combat. Otherwise, you're finding yourself sucking spirits in the game to help free them in the story. You gain much of the experience via spirit sucking, yokai side quests, etc., and cashing them in via payphone. That is the gameplay loop pretty much. You only fight enemies because you have to. Now that I think about it, it's strongly a collect-a-thon type of game. On top of that, movement during combat felt sluggish to me. There were many times where I wished there was some sort of dash button to get yourself out of sticky situations. What felt also clunky was the gliding/platforming. Inconsistent is the key word. Were times where you fly to an edge, you think you grab it, but you don't, so you just fall straight to the ground. Luckily, there is an ability that resembles a hook shot later on if you are willing to put your points into that part of the skill tree. Now with that said, the core gameplay was still fun and satisfying enough to carry me through the game. The game does offer an open world format similar to that of Yakuza, where you're in one big city, but it does feel pretty big and you can go anywhere at any time pretty much, as long as you clear up the fog by cleansing gates, which all feels too familiar if you've played modern open world games such as Far Cry. Other elements such as the music felt kind of just there. It mostly felt atmospheric, although appropriate. Don't expect anything too cinematic, just like the rest of the game really. Even the cinematic cutscenes kind of felt that way too, where there aren't going to be many cool moments where they'll stick to you for the rest of your gaming life. Now in the end, I think Ghostwire Tokyo is pretty good. Its overall gameplay structure did felt basic and somewhat archaic, but that Japanese mythos along with its set pieces were pretty cool, so kudos to Ikumi Nakamura along with the rest of the artists who worked on the game. I really wish they would have utilized more of that Japanese mythos to add to that world building and the lore to make it more of an interesting take on Tokyo and yokai in general. The gameplay and exploration side of things were fun enough for me to complete the main game. not to mention the alluring side quests. Which, by the way, this game can be completed around 20 hours-ish with the main game and some side quests. Although I did feel personally that I did a lot of exploration and these side quests and it was still around 20 hours, so it's a pretty short video game. Now with that, I'm gonna give this game a 7 out of 10. I think it's still pretty good for a video game, but probably best to buy it during a sale. But I think it does deserve your time if you do get it on sale. Now, would I expect for a sequel to happen? Right now, not really. Now it could change. Now, if they do, I kind of expect for more stuff to throw it in there. All the complaints and stuff like that will be addressed. Then they'll add maybe the elements of earth and lightning, throw in there as well. Maybe it might have been a case of holding a lot of things back to see if this game even succeeds. Then if it does, they'll give it the green light for all the other sort of ideas and gameplay sort of spices to be thrown in there even more. So that way it'll make the sequel even more of a blow up by the end of it. I don't know, but we'll have to see if this is a one-shot type of game or it'll have a sequel. We'll have to see from Tango later on. But anyways, that's pretty much it for me. So again, it's a 7 out of 10, and I think it deserves your time if you do manage to get it on sale. Thank you very much. If you have any comments about Ghostwire Tokyo, leave them down in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like these. Really appreciate it, guys. So this has been my review for Ghostwire Tokyo. Again, thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out.